Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 1558.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about the economic news that supports a 0.25% rate cut on September 17th. So the Consumer Price Index came in slightly hotter than expected for August yesterday, but the usually crucial inflation report was overshadowed by weekly jobless claims, which showed an unexpected jump to the highest level since October of 2021, according to CNBC. Those reports, as well as the downward revisions on job growth earlier this week by 911,000, further confirm a decelerating labor market and that inflation remains well contained, which really sets up for a cut next week, according to Bill Northey, investment director at U.S. Bank Wealth Management. He said this is a Fed that is reluctant to surprise markets, and so as expectations have cemented around that 25 basis point rate cut, we think they'll deliver against that. He added that through the Fed's press conference next week and the summary of economic projections, investors should be given more clarity on the central bank's median view regarding its outlook for both economic growth and inflation, along with what it considers appropriate in terms of monetary policy positioning against that. He said all of these elements really play into what happens further out the interest rate curve. This should be a very information-rich meeting that we will see in the middle of next week. In response to all this economic news, the Nasdaq hit a new high on Friday, and the S&P 500 is on pace for its best weekly performance since August and its fifth positive week out of 6 weeks. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is poised to post its first positive week in 3 weeks after seeing a week-to-date climb of 1.1%. So just looking at those economic numbers a little bit closer, prices consumers paid for a variety of goods and services moved higher than expected in August, while jobless claims accelerated. The Consumer Price Index posted a seasonally adjusted 0.4% increase for the month, the biggest gain since January, putting the annual inflation rate at 2.9%, which is up 0.2% from the prior month, and the highest reading since January. For the vital core reading that excludes food and energy, the August gain was 0.3%, putting the 12-month figure at 3.1%, and that was as forecast. Of course, that's still slightly higher than the central bank's inflation target of 2%, but I think with the job market weakening so much, as we said, this is going to make their decision a little bit easier. And traders are pricing in a near 100% chance of that 0.25% cut next week. Seema Shah, Chief Global Strategist at Principal Asset Management, said, while the CPI report is a tad hotter than expected, it will not give the Fed a moment of hesitation when they announce a rate cut next week. If anything, the jump in jobless claims will inject a bit more urgency in the Fed's decision-making, with Powell likely signaling a sequence of rate cuts is on the way. While there's a near 100% certainty the Fed will lower its benchmark interest rate next week, there's a slight implied chance that the Fed might choose to deviate from its usual 0.25% point move and cut by 0.5%, considering the weakness in the labor market this year and the subdued inflation readings. Traders also moved the probability of another reduction in October to a near certainty and see a high likelihood of a third rate cut in December. This was also a big week for precious metals mining stocks, with the silver junior miners up 8% for the week, the large gold miners up 4.79% for the week, and the junior gold miners up 5.86% for the week. Platinum also had a big move, up 9.34%. Year-to-date, the Dow's up 8.11%, the S&P 500 is up 12.25%, and the Nasdaq's up 14.66%. My sense is there's so much anticipation about this rate cut that we'll probably have a sell-off on the news. You know that old expression, buy in the rumor, sell on the news? Well, we've been talking about this interest rate cut for so long, I think when it finally comes, we'll probably have stocks sell off. And that may kick off a further pullback and correction for a little bit into the end of September. But we'll keep reporting back to you and let you know how it's going. If you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified as soon as new podcasts are available. And all of my podcasts are on my website at lindapjones.com/podcasts. And while you're there, sign up for my weekly newsletter for more wealth tips for your financial freedom. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.